Hello, how are you? I guess I should say, hey y'all. Happy Monday. I am sorry that I didn't have a coffee chat for you last Monday, but I had dental work done. I had oral surgery done last Friday. Not this past Friday, Friday before. That was a doozy. It was a doozy. The topic that I was going to cover in the coffee chat for Monday is about rejection and criticism. That has to do with a lot of different things. We have external rejection and criticism and internal rejection and criticism. And being on social media, you're subjected to all different kinds of negativity at times, whether it's rejection or criticism, even the trolls. I'm not really going to talk about the trolls too much, but I do want to talk about rejection and criticism because we do live in such a technology-driven social media time. So before I start, I watched a talk with Brene Brown that had a lot to do with this in various forms. And one of the quotes that she used in this, I'm going to talk about. And then we're going to talk about rejection and criticism. And I will leave you a link to her talk below in the description. So the quote is by Theodore Roosevelt, and he had a speech. And in the speech, it was very inspirational. This is his quote. "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." So, yeah. It's really easy for people to criticize others. I think most of the time people have a tendency to criticize when they're unhappy with themselves. Misery loves company. It truly does. Now, most of the time, like I said, those people are unhappy, usually unhappy with themselves. They're dealing with their own insecurities or unhappiness or any number of things. We can also feel that way about ourselves. We can be our own very own worst critics. We reject ourselves before we even start, before we even attempt to do things sometimes. First, I want to say be proud of yourself for having the confidence to put yourself out there. If you are putting yourself out there with your art or your words or your music or anything else, be proud of yourself for at least doing it, for having the guts to do it. Be honest. Share how you're affected. This is what I told myself, how you're affected by those rude comments, by those people who reject. Because believe it or not, it really does have an impact on us. And if more people were honest about the rejection and the criticism, the being bullied, and the people who intimidate, our society might make a few changes. We're already making changes in schools. When I was in school, bullying was bad, but you didn't talk about it. The more you talked about it, the more you got in trouble. You know, uh, the bullies were just going to get worse. You'd stand up for yourself. I was a nerd. And I was small. I had braces, I had glasses, I had freckles, I had big hair, curly, frizzy hair. During a time when big hair was popular, but not that kind of big hair. If people are still negative and critical and judgmental, move on. Let them go. If you have people in your life that are that way, let it go. Move on. Disassociate yourself. Now, with social media, it's a little bit different. People are going to make comments. They're going to say things that maybe they don't necessarily feel like are critical. I have heard for a very long time, you would look so pretty if you just straightened your hair. You'd look so much better if you just wore contact lenses. Like, there's something wrong with my curls. My natural curls, there's something wrong with my curls. I've been criticized for my work not being engaging enough, my videos, my content not being engaging enough. I've been criticized for having music in the videos. I've been criticized for not having music in the videos. I've been criticized for not having a proper intro, for not having a proper outro, for not having an outro. And I have done a few outros, but I'm not paying a service to do outros. I will either create my own outro, or I'm thinking about doing that. I've gotten better about thumbnails, but I didn't know anything about thumbnails. I just chose whichever one YouTube had on there, and hey. I've been criticized for being too rambly. There are people who like the chatty videos. There are people who have criticized because I say too much. There are people in my regular life who criticize me for going roundabout, for being distracted easily, for taking too long to get to a point, for going in circles sometimes. Thank you, ADHD brain. I've been criticized for the lighting in my videos. But you know, some of the very best videos I've had have not been perfect. The lighting hasn't been perfect. The audio hasn't been perfect. But the message was clear and people got the message. And I think, well, geez, y'all, you know, I mean, are the people who are criticizing me, are they actually making videos themselves? Are they up there making videos themselves? Because it's not an easy thing to do, y'all. It's not an easy thing to do. And then I took every single one of those criticisms, even the ones that were constructive, and there were a few that were very constructive criticisms. They were very helpful, but there was this little part of me that thought, oh, I'm still screwing it up. I can't get it right. I'm not good enough. Maybe I should just quit this whole thing. You know, maybe I should just quit this whole thing. It doesn't matter what you do or how you do it or how you look, what kind of person you are or aren't, whether you have long hair or short hair, curly hair or straight hair, light skin or dark skin, blue eyes or brown eyes, glasses or no glasses, whether you're old or young, whether you're a writer or an artist, an accountant or a lawyer or an entrepreneur, and I really don't like that word. They need to find a new word. Any number of things. There are going to be people out there who are going to judge you no matter what. Whether you have kids or don't have kids, people are going to judge you. If you have pets or you don't have pets, people are going to judge you. Especially if you're on social media. If you make yourself vulnerable by being on, and it does make you vulnerable when you are on social media. Someone is going to criticize you for something or other. Maybe it's the lipstick. Maybe it's the curly hair. Maybe it's the glare in the glasses. Maybe it's the mess behind you. Maybe it's having all the color in the background instead of having one of those very minimalistic white backgrounds with the rose gold trim. I would love to have white, but I live in a house that is the home to people who are messy and who are creative. And I have a grandson, and I would like for him to be able to come into the house and feel at home. And even here, on occasion, he sits at that desk right back there, and I let him enjoy himself. And if I had white furniture, I'm not sure that would work. I mean, it would work. It would be beautiful. And I would love to. I've always wanted a white couch. Always wanted a white couch. And I looked at the white bookcases, and I thought about painting everything white, especially when I was in the purple room. I seriously thought about painting everything white. But I know I would get tired of the white. And then I thought, well, I could do white with accents, with the purple, and maybe I could do something on. And then I thought about doing black, because black wouldn't show dirt and dust, and dirt. Well, it showed dust, really badly. But I thought, I'm going with what I want. And I've always wanted a red bookcase, a red desk. I saw one on Instagram, and I saw one on Pinterest, and I saw one somewhere in a store and in a magazine, and I fell in love, and I was like, that's it, red, that is it. But I'm sure there are people out there who would in no way, shape, or form ever want a red desk, a red bookcase, who wouldn't want pale turquoise walls. And I know they look mint green in the videos, but they are pale turquoise. I don't know why they look mint green in the videos. But it doesn't matter what you do or you don't do, or how you do it or how you don't do it. It doesn't. Somebody's going to judge you. Somebody's going to criticize you. Somebody's going to hit the rejection button. And like I said, usually it's because of their own insecurities, their own negativity. Misery loves company. Now, sometimes it's not, but most of the time I think it is, because misery does love company. If I am feeling in a very negative space, I'm feeling miserable, I'm going to be much more nitpicky about everything. My own stuff, other stuff. That's when I know, whoo, wait a minute, Burgess, you need a timeout. And like I said, usually we're our own worst critics. When we've worked out enough of our own fears, our own insecurities, our own negativity, and we've put ourselves out there, made ourselves vulnerable by putting ourselves out here on social media, sharing our work, whatever work it is, whether it's our writing or our art or our journal pages or the books that we love or our planners, our makeup tips, our DIY tips, our crafting, whatever it is, putting ourselves and our work out there, it really does open us up to that judgment, to the criticism. And all it takes is a few negative comments, a few critical comments. Let's not talk about the trolls, because that's a whole different subject. And according to studies, it takes about 5 positive events or 5 positive comments, 5 positive things to make up for that one negative. And it's really easy to tell somebody, don't focus on the rejection. Don't focus on the negative. Don't focus on the criticism, because that only feeds that inner voice in the back of our head, the inner critic, and then it increases our own fears, our own negativity. That fuels the self-doubt. It fuels the rejection that we feel. It fuels the anger. It just makes more negative. Your mind will go wherever your attention is focused. So if your attention is focused on the negative, on the critical, on the judging, on the negative, that's exactly where we're going to stay. Instead, if we focus on the positive, on our successes, on the positive comments, on the, if you're on YouTube, the thumbs up, the comments that say, hey, I love your video, you've made such a difference, thank you, I can so relate. If you focus on those positive things, if you focus on the acceptance, even if it's only from a few people, one person, it'll make such a big difference. Such a big difference. You'll realize when you focus more on the positive that the negative, the critical stuff is fewer and far between. It's not as big a deal as you've originally made it out to be when you're at first focused on that criticism, on that rejection. And it's also a good idea to remember, it's one of my dad's favorite phrases, we get a lot more bees with honey than we do with vinegar. So unless it's a troll, when somebody gives you a negative comment, when there's a comment that makes you feel that self-doubt, when it makes that inner critic rear its ugly head, when you start second-guessing yourself because of a comment someone's made, respond with positivity. Tell that person, thank you for taking the time to comment. I will work on that. Or I've thought about that. Thank you for taking the time to comment. Because I have gotten comments that to me felt like I wanted to go, well, thanks, but geez, you know, you could have been a lot nicer when you said that. Constructive criticism is a blessing. Negative criticism is not. Gah. Now, if it's a troll, just delete them and let it go. Move on. Just move on. I realized when I first got on YouTube, I probably should have gotten a lot more negative comments than I did. But I think most people didn't even see my videos. They didn't know my videos were there. I took some notes and now I'm done with the notes portion. But I think I look back at my own videos in the beginning and I kind of cringe a little because I can tell how anxious I was. I can tell how much the anxiety was really getting to me. I can tell. I had no clue of what I was doing. I was completely uncomfortable in front of the camera. I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know how to edit a video at all. I didn't even know about editing software. Nothing. Nada. Nothing. No clue. But I also, when I watch those old videos, every now and again somebody will pop up on one and make a comment. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yes. Or it will pop up on my Facebook feed under the memories part where the video got shared. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, it's a strange thing. It's a strange thing. But I am not cringing because I'm criticizing myself. I'm cringing because I remember those feelings, that self-doubt, the angst, the anxiety. I was shaken. I was shaking. And I do that anyway. I fidget because of the ADHD, but that was literally shaking. If I end up seeing any of those videos, now I'm like, yes, patting myself on the back, going, God, I can't believe you actually had the guts to get up there and do that. Wow. Wow. We are truly our own worst critics. Truly our own worst critics. I don't have any sage advice for how to deal with rejection or criticism. I've had to deal with rejection or criticism in some way, shape, or form my whole life because I don't fit in. When I was in high school, I didn't fit in with any of the cliques. I knew a lot of people and was friends with a lot of people in a lot of different cliques, but I didn't belong in any one clique. I've always been a bit of a loner. I had friends and we had our own little, I guess we had our own little kind of group. We sort of all, we fit into a few of them, but we didn't fit all the way into any of them. And later on in life, I realized that I was always going to be a little bit quirky, a little bit odd, a little bit different. And I'm okay with that. I think we come into our own as we grow and mature and we learn and we follow our path along our journey. You know, that it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And while we're on that journey, we learn. We learn about ourselves, we learn about others. One piece of hair. We learn about ourselves and we learn about others. We learn acceptance. We learn acceptance as in flaws and all, I guess. I had this compact from philosophy, and I've kept the compact for a long time. And the reason I kept the compact is because the mirror on the compact, the highlighter is gone. The highlighter's been gone for a good while. It like has a tiny bit left in there. But what it says on here is philosophy, and it says, where there is grace, there is beauty. Where there is grace, there is beauty. And I keep it in the drawer in my desk in case I need a little mirror to look at something. But I used to keep the mirror to see whether I was in the camera or not, in focus. Like I would hold it like right here and look, because the original camera that had my Canon that Mr. Rockstar bought me originally didn't have the flip up the selfie screen thing. So sometimes I needed to see if I was in focus. When you come into your own, when you accept yourself for who you are, for how you are, for what you are, for your flaws and all, the good things, the bad things, the beautiful, the ugly, all of it. If you can be secure enough in your own self to accept yourself, flaws and all. And it's been a hard road. Some days I have grace. The grace to say thank you for that comment. Thank you for taking the time to comment. Or thank you. And other times I don't have as much. So then I practice the golden rule. And if I don't have anything nice to say, I don't say anything at all, because usually that's on my bad day. And that's on my day when I'm not feeling up to snuff. When I am filled with the anxiety, suffering from depression, or in a lot of pain, or all of the above. And I know that I'm not liking myself much right then and there. So I'm probably not going to be in a good headspace to deal with anything else. So I don't. I try to just step away. And we all have good days and bad days. Dealing with rejection and criticism and stuff, like I said, there's external and then there's internal. And how we deal with things internally, when it's our own self that's criticizing and rejecting, sometimes also affects the external stuff. My best advice when I give myself advice over this, and I do, is to remind myself, misery loves company. Misery loves company. And to remind myself that maybe the people who are making those kinds of comments really have no idea of how much work it takes to, one, get up in front of the camera, to two, film, how long it takes to film, how much effort it takes to get things together, especially if you're doing some other kind of video, you're not just doing a quick vlog. Not that this is a quick vlog. How much time it takes to edit a video, and then you have to render it just to save, and then you got to upload it, and then you've got to create your description and a pretty decent title and a pretty decent thumbnail, and then you need to share it to social media, and all of this is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's fun, and the community is wonderful. So whether it's a picture on Facebook or a picture on Instagram or a video on YouTube or a post on my blog or whatever it is, when I get, or Patreon or any place, whenever I get the negativity, whenever I get somebody who really doesn't understand how hard a work it is, how much you are putting yourself out there, how vulnerable it makes you, I just remind myself. And I kind of say to myself, bless your heart. And I say, thank you. Just thank you. So y'all have a great one, and I'll see you again soon. Let me know how you deal with rejection or criticism, or both, and if you have any good tips about it. And make sure you hit like, and if you're not already subscribed, subscribe. Thanks, y'all. Have a good one. Bye.